We want to help you find your full, sufficient potential.
I keep a photograph in which we were in love, caught in your eyes, waiting for the sunrise. I barely even knew who you were. What did you do? I didn't care, 'cause you were perfect, I swear. But somebody told me that it's over. Oh no, it's true. You made me happy for a while. I remember fleeting times when we slept on top of cars. Now I don't know you, you don't know me too. I remember fleeting times when we watched this.
It's times like these where knowing how to grow your own food and knowing old skills is pretty important.
Stars shone in our eyes like the lights of fireflies. We were obsessed and we felt warmth in our chests. Your heart was full of dreams. It made you feel extreme. Give me a sign if you keep it in mind. But somebody told me that it's over. Oh no, it's true. You made me happy for a
We want to help you find your full, sufficient potential. Starting with animals can be costly, and it's a little bit more investment in the long run, but everyone can start with a garden, and seeds are pretty cheap.
Keep it softly spoken, with no strings tying you to me. I'm happy in your company with no emotion, 'cause my love deserves to be free. I never want to look at a house in the garden.
Today, I want to show you how easy it is to take plant starts, put them in the ground, and grow your own food, as well as starting some seeds. I happen to have some that need to go in the ground. Our frost date isn't until April 21st, so we've got a few weeks left before we can put any not frost hardy plants out. We have many seeds that we've started, and those will be staying in the greenhouse or inside under grow lights for quite a few weeks. But we do have some frost hardy plants that we started earlier on this year in the house, and as you've seen, we have some lettuce growing that actually started all on its own. And this type of lettuce is actually a frost hardy lettuce, so it reseeded itself from last year. If you allow your plants to grow to their full potential, then they will eventually flower and drop seeds. If you allow them to drop their seeds, then when you come back the following year, some may actually volunteer themselves. And that is what we have here. We have quite a few lettuce plants that volunteered from last year, so we didn't even have to plant these lettuce. We want to help you reach your full potential, and seed starting is exactly the place to start. Some of you may think that gardening is kind of a daunting idea. Most seed companies actually send the seeds with instructions on the back that tell you when the seeds should be planted, whether they should be started indoors or outdoors, if they're frost hardy, which means they can stand a little bit of frost, or not frost hardy at all, which means they need to be planted either indoors to start and then brought outside after frost, or they need to be started outside, direct sown into the garden after the last frost date has cleared. They also have instructions as to how many days it takes to sprout them, the seed depth, plant spacing, and how much sun that the plant needs, which this seems like a lot of information, but over time all of this will come with ease. It takes a little bit in the beginning to pay attention to what seed needs what kind of care, and in some cases even more than that. These plants have already made it past their seedling stage and the most vulnerable stage. Starting seeds, however daunting it may seem, is actually pretty easy. You can take the seeds and go by the directions perfectly, or you can just use them as a guideline. Most people actually just use them as a guideline as to how far apart you need to plant them and things like that. And other people even will just dig a little trench and sprinkle them in and then go thin them out later. Thinning is actually a very common thing. You plant more seeds than you need because there's not a 100% growth rate. To thin seeds, you'll want to plant more than you need, and as the seedlings grow, you'll pinch out all of the extras, giving your plants the space they need to grow. Here, I'm actually going to just space these peas about 3 to 4 inches apart so I won't have to thin them out. And they grow quickly, so I planted them at the bottom of the trellis so that they can vine right up, and we'll have some peas in just a few short months. If starting from seed seems still a bit too intimidating, you can always start with plant starts. This means that someone has already started the seeds and cared for them for about 4 to 6 weeks. Starting with plant starts may seem like the easy way out to a lot of people, but it's actually the best way to begin learning how to garden. Starting from seeds is a little bit more of a tricky task because you have to start the seeds. A lot of the times they have to be started indoors. And then on top of that, you have to have grow lights, and you have to make sure that you have them planted at the right time, and they have to sit inside or in a greenhouse for 4 to 8 weeks sometimes, and even more than that for some certain plants. In order to start with plant starts, you'll need to go to your farmer's market or a local nursery or grocery store that actually sells plant starts, and pick out what plants you want to grow. When you are starting with plant starts, you're going to want to pinch the start out gently so that you don't mess up the roots of the plant, and then dig a hole a little deeper than the base itself to make sure all of the roots are covered. You'll want to bury the plant all the way to the first set of leaves. Doing this will allow the roots to spread out and make for a happy, healthy, larger plant. We hope that all of this information allows you to grow your own garden and your own food as well. Happy planting, everyone!